Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
According to Time magazine, there are 2.5 million Muslims in the United States of America. That is 100,000 more than in Great Britain. The Council on American Islamic Relations claims the real number of Muslims in the U.S. is 7 million. Whatever the number, if the current trend continues, Islam will very soon be a dominating force in all things American. If you want to know how Islam will evolve in the U.S., just pay attention to what is happening in post-Christian Europe. Sharia law is already in force in some areas of Great Britain.
In the basement room of a kebab shop in East London, students of the London School of Sharia have gathered to talk to me about how Islamic law operates in the UK today. A recent study by think tank Civitas concluded there are around 85 Sharia courts currently operating in Britain. Chowdhury wants to establish an Islamic state in Britain and institute fully fledged Sharia law throughout. That would mean cutting off people's hands for stealing and stoning women for adultery. But in the absence of a state to support that, for now he can only judge civil matters.
News out of London today that a London cop who is Muslim has been allowed to opt out of certain duties because he is a Muslim. What duties? Things having to do with pigs or some other sacrilege related to his religion? No. He's being allowed to refuse duty guarding the Israeli embassy. This is official policy now in London. A Muslim cop does not have to protect the Israeli embassy. By extension, then, a Muslim cop would not have to interfere with someone robbing or killing a Jew, right?
In France, thousands of Muslims block streets and entire neighborhoods for their prayers, while authorities do nothing. In the Netherlands, one of the country's top politicians was put on trial for allegedly using hate speech against Muslims.
The trial of a Dutch anti-Islam politician charged with hate crimes has begun in Amsterdam. It's a landmark case testing the limits of free speech in the Netherlands. Geert Wilders has been charged with incitement of hatred and discrimination against Muslims. In his short film Fitna, he compared the Quran to Hitler's Mein Kampf.
It's a tremendously important trial, not only for the free speech situation in Netherlands, but for the whole of Europe. I think that Mr. Geert Wilders is the first politician in modern time who has had to stand trial for these accusations against insulting a religion, a book and a people. It is of course worrying if Mr. Wilders cannot say what he said about Islam and about the Quran, etc. Then what will other people in the media be allowed to say in the future?
But that is Europe. Something like that could never happen in America, right?
Controversial comments. A veteran news analyst fired because of what he said about Muslims. Is this fair?
This is the most ridiculous thing, because then the people at NPR and others, they take this one statement and they somehow make it out that I am a bigot. I mean, it's unbelievable to me, given the books that I've written, the things that I've done in my life. Now, all of a sudden, you know, I'm a bigot.
All right, check out this website. 4 Christian missionaries were at an Arab festival over in Dearborn, Michigan, when they had a huge run-in with police. They said they did nothing wrong. They were just handing out copies of the Gospel of John, but police cuffed them, arrested them for disorderly conduct. Is this more, were they adhering to Sharia law in their arrest? Because it doesn't seem to be going by our Constitution.
Well, I guess that was my point. Again, our Constitution protects the right to free exercise of religion, the right to freedom of speech. Under Sharia law, you don't have those particular rights. It's probably not a coincidence that in a city where you have the largest Muslim population in the United States, that you have police who are persecuting Christians.
The often heard goal of some Islamic imams is to unite the world under Islam. That would mean eradicating America's way of life with its freedoms and replacing it with Sharia morality and law. That would include the degradation of women and stoning and amputating as punishment. It would also mean an end to freedom of religion outside of Islam. One major component of that is mosque planting. Throughout the ages, a pattern has emerged each time Islam takes possession of what it considers key areas. They build a mosque. Why did Muslims build the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem? on the very spot where the Jewish temple once existed, and where Yeshua himself taught. In Constantinople, the great cathedral was converted into a mosque after Ottoman Turks conquered. In Cordoba, Spain, the Christian church was converted into a mosque during the Muslim conquest. Incidentally, Cordoba is the same name being used for the proposed Islamic center near Ground Zero in New York. Muslims around the world recognize Cordoba as a symbol of Islamic conquest. While Muslims lecture the West about tolerance, did you know there are no churches or synagogues in all of Saudi Arabia? In fact, no Christian or Jew can even enter Mecca. And yet, more than 100 mosques already exist in New York. How critical it is that Americans not be lulled into thinking that Muslims fight only with the sword. Muslims are using Western democratic institutions to intimidate non-Muslims and increase Islamic dominance. But don't take our word for it.
Because we keep hearing there's a distinction and a difference between radical Islam and mainstream Islam.
This is a big mistake.
Explain.
Comparing between moderate Muslims and fanatics. This is not how we compare it. I compare all Muslims to me are the same. At the end of the day, they believe in the God of the Quran, and they believe that this Quran is from that God. I compare
and
between them.
You're saying that Muslims, most Muslims think jihad is where they need to go.
It's not their choice. This is what, if they believe that the Quran is word by word from God.
So when let me ask this again. So when people talk about moderate Islam, you're saying it doesn't exist?
It doesn't exist.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah.